Life is so fragile, and we're constantly reminded just how fragile life can be, especially when we or a loved one is told we have cancer. Cancer survivor myself, I can tell you, we still feel very alone in this journey.
There's a study that's been shown that patients who are socially isolated have a worse prognosis, have a worse outcome than patients who are socially interconnected.
Buddies for Life is a non-profit cancer support group for those whose life has been impacted by cancer. We'll match you with the perfect buddy. Humor, hope, heart, and hugs.
Humor, hope, heart, hugs, and a whole lot of love.
We're offering you a free membership, so please sign up today. Share this with your friends and family, and support this community in every way you can. No one should face cancer alone.
I am a chemo buddy for life.
We are a buddies network.
No one does cancer alone.
Be a buddy.
And we are all here for you as a community of love.
We are chemo buddies for life.
And if you've heard 3 words, you have cancer, for yourself or someone else, you belong with us at Chemo Buddies for Life.
Healing through connections.
Haiti borders with the Dominican.
Her name is Serena Buffalino. They call her Mrs. B, and her class always begins with a pledge.
Something local, something global. Haiti.
They're words that carry weight here. Helping yourself means helping others, giving back, here and a world away in Haiti.
And nobody's helping them, except for people like us.
It was through her the class learned of Haiti, of the nearly 1 million orphans, many with no school, no support, no Mrs. B in their lives.
They could not wrap their head around that.
Mrs. B's students are among Toronto's most at risk. Their challenges vary from emotional and behavioral difficulties to learning disabilities. Their trauma is so severe they can't function in a regular school setting, and we aren't allowed to show most of their classmates.
For most of the kids, most of society has turned them away. And in this classroom, they're accepted. They're accepted no matter what for who they are.
Take Yolanda. She came here last year so burdened and withdrawn, she would often fall silent, sometimes for days on end. It was, she says, Mrs. B's patience, her quiet encouragement, that saved her.
She actually saves people's lives from dangers.
And perhaps that's why these marginalized kids feel such a kinship with the orphans of Haiti and why they were moved to act.
And so when Yolanda and Jackie and Patrick said, well, Miss B, we need to build them a school.
Build a school. No easy task. They started out raising money. They sold samosas, washed cars, screened movies, you name it. And in just a few months, this little class raised $20,000. So much, it's not just a one-room schoolhouse they can build, but a full 3-story school. And so Mrs. B set off on a journey she'd dreamed of, up into the dusty mountains above Port-au-Prince to a town called Canaan. It's home to thousands of earthquake refugees who live with no running water, no electricity, and no school, until now. The first step was a temporary school. It's up and running. 53 students already in uniform. The permanent school for 250 is growing from its foundations.
It makes me want to cry because she just makes me feel so awed, and I'm very proud of her.
All of this because of a handful of students back in Canada. And Mrs. B, the teacher who believed in them.
These are for you.
At another fundraiser, a special tribute to the students, accepted by someone who, without Mrs. B, might not be here.
They believe in me and I believe in them, and together we not only change our lives, but we change the world around us.
For inspiring great things and seeing the potential in everyone, Serena Buffalino is this week's Everyday Hero.
morning. Good morning. How are we doing this wonderful, wonderful Thursday? Can you believe? I don't understand. Maybe it's just me. Maybe it's just me. But it seemed like these weeks are going by so quick. I just feel like it was just Monday, and now it's Thursday. Thursday, May 20th. So that means just a few more weeks, we're going to hit June. I was like, oh my God. See, every time I do that, I start like, okay, I'm just going to be honest. I'm going to be a little vulnerable right now. You know, I go there. But I was getting nervous. I was like, okay, it's like the middle of the year. And then I was looking at all the kind of like the big things, the goals that I want to get done. Because I kind of break it down into days and I break it down into like quarterly. And I was looking at my quarterly and I was like, I didn't get nothing done. I mean, I got stuff done, but it was stuff that I didn't really have on my plate. Has anybody been there where you had stuff written down, you wanted to make sure you were doing it for that month or whatever, and then you wind up saying, well, I didn't get that done, but I did get this done. So then that's when you have to tell yourself, okay, let me flip it because I can go into this whole, oh my God, I didn't get it done. Oh, no, and then beat myself up. But then I said to myself, but Barbara, you did get some things done that moved you, that did move me, move the needle, like they said in my life, move me to another level, taught me some things. I learned some things. So I can't really get upset about it, right? I can't get upset about it. So I said, okay, that was done. Now let's move this over. So if anybody's having that type of experience like I had, definitely don't beat yourself up. I always tell people, please don't beat yourself up. And then secondly, just make sure that, you give yourself credit for what you did get done. Now that kind of goes into what I want to talk about. Excuse me, just, I always kind of give a quote or something you think about, some positive stuff. Oh, excuse me, that we all need. Like my burps and my hiccups. Okay, so this I want to talk about. Take a break. Take a break. Do something that will bring you joy. So a lot of times we need to take a small break and just like do an audit on ourselves, or just not even do that. Just sit back and just take a break. So it says when you feel stuck, bogged down, or overwhelmed, take a break and do something that will bring you joy. Joyfulness frees up the mind. It does. It really frees up the mind. You might begin by saying a little prayer, asking God to show you what to do first or how to do it. Make yourself walk away from your desk, stretch, do some deep cleansing breathing, and enjoy a cup of tea or coffee or whatever you like to drink, maybe fruit punch, maybe lemonade, whatever. When you feel stuck, you must find the common joyful thing that works for you. Joyfulness will allow your mind to see things differently. Joyfulness is the positive energy force that frees up your creativity. And I need a lot of that sometimes. Take a walk or go outside for a minute to look up at the sky. See what's going on. Listen to the birds. Be quiet and allow God to speak to you, assisting you with your perceptions. Today, practice becoming joyful about everything. So becoming joyful about everything. Just free your mind. So today we are going to have, just going to get right into the show. We are going to have, I went into my archives. You're going to be seeing a lot of that. So I am the CEO of the Diamond Factor. And one of my missions is to make sure that especially women understand their PPD, their purpose, passion, and drive, as you hear me talk about it on the show. I always believe that that's your foundation in life, because once you understand your purpose, passion, and drive, wherever you at in your life, that whatever kind of comes your way, the earthquake, the floods, the pandemic, I'll just add that, just all as what we look at as like something that's like, that if you know your foundation, if you really, sunk in that, then you can move forward, because you're not going to look at everything else. You're going to be like, you know what, I'm just moving, I'm just focusing, I'm just trucking along, because this is not just for me to understand my purpose, passion, drive. I got to make sure I understand it so I can help other people that might need, my gifts or my genes to help them out. And that's what it's all about. So what I usually do, I do one-on-one interviews with ladies that I call them the Queen Diamonds. And it's like maybe 20 minutes, 25 minutes, just to get to know their purpose and understand what they're doing for the world. So I have one special lady, Danielle, that I interviewed a few months ago, and I'm going to play that for us so you can get to know some of these Queen Diamonds that are out there in the world. And she is from Canada. And I love when I'm talking to women from other countries too, because that just shows you how we're all in sync together. We got all this thing together. No matter what country you are, a minority, we're together in this. And I always just say, show the love. So I've been getting love a lot from these interviews. So after I start, I already started the show, but once I do the introduction, I want to go right into her interview, and I hope you enjoy it. And then right after that, we're going to have Miss Laura Armstrong come on and talk some more about leadership. This is her day. She comes on every Thursday. So let's get it started. Let's get this show started. Hello and welcome to the Diamond Spotlight interview. I am Barbara Beckley, the founder of the Diamond Factor LLC, where the mission is to empower women to understand their PPD, their purpose, passion, and drive. This platform is to make sure to increase their visibility and shine like a diamond to the world. Today we are spotlighting, and I always call the women that I interview Queen Diamonds. So we have another wonderful Queen Diamond with a wonderful smile already. Daniela Sija, right? I'm sorry.
Gia, close, very close.
Gia, and I just said it before we were in the virtual back room. Is co-founder of Noble Body Care Inc. and an all-natural luxury body care product line. She is also the author in Loving Denial, Stop Saying I Beat Cancer. Now, I'm just gonna let everybody know, that was a really short introduction, but this woman is truly amazing. She is going to tell you some things that she went through and some things that she's been doing spectacular. Because I just don't want that little introduction to be like, oh, that was no. She is huge. She is huge. So Daniela, thank you for coming on the Diamond. Now, I'm just gonna let everybody know, that was a really short introduction here. But this is spectacular. So, because I just don't want that little introduction to be like, oh, that was no. After hearing about she is huge. She is was created, not just so Daniela, they help in some medical aspects in your family life, within you and your family. Please share what inspired you and started the company to be such a great impact.
It started really because I was living with a chronic condition and my doctors kept saying there was nothing more they could do for me. And they said I was in denial because I just wouldn't accept that. And just started to do my own research and education. I had my sister-in-law was a midwife, so she was definitely a big factor in that. And I started to recover, and not just recover, but bounce back in a really profound way. And so that's where the education started. But then my parents both got cancer around the same time, different cancers, and that led to an expedited education on carcinogens and how so many women get more instances of certain cancers because of the amount of carcinogens in their body care items. And I was shocked to find out, especially in North America, how predominant that problem was. So, I wanted to eradicate my parents', closets of all that stuff, cupboards, but they're snobs. So for me to get them to use other natural things that were, by their definition, granola, right, was just not going to fly. Their designer, everything. So I had to come up with formulations that beat the designer stuff that they were doing. And it was just so amazing. My father actually said, you're either going to turn this into a business or I'm going to steal the recipe and I'm going to turn it into a business. And so that's what happened. Yeah.
Awesome. Danielle. I mean, I'm just amazed that you had to basically, you took it upon yourself to say, I need to really look into this because I just want to help my parents. I mean, it was to that point, and then you took it on, and now it's this wonderful product that you sell that's helped so many others.
It's really a love-inspired thing. True.
Yes. Yeah. Definitely. Now, the growing demand for natural products for personal grooming has become one of the primary concerns, and I know for individuals, and the more people are using that, more so than all those other products that have all those other items in it that you would know how to say the name of.
Yeah.
So why do you think there is such a growing interest in the natural product like the body and face care right now?
I really think it's cancer. Now, there are other issues with these items, like they're endocrine disruptors as well. So there's a lot of hormonal issues that come along with using many of your favorite body care items, even cleaning products in your home for that matter. But cancer is the one that I think has touched literally everybody. Everybody knows someone who has, suffered or died from cancer. And I think that's frightened people. People are afraid, and we're becoming more educated on toxins in the environment, and especially with the environment being so prevalent in popular discussion, that we're starting to really pay attention to that stuff.
Yeah, I know I have, because I know I have really sensitive skin.
Mm-hmm.
I'm in remission right now. It's been 11 years for me, but I had uterus cancer.
Okay.
And even with that, I found out my skin changed a lot when I was going through before I had my surgery, because I had a hysterectomy that I had to get done.
Right.
And it seemed like my skin would change with that. So I had to use a certain type of lotion, and I couldn't use I hate to say the cheap stuff. I had to get a little bit more where it had, I think the one I was using had like oatmeal products in it. And it really, really helped with my skin.
Now, my dad was given a medicated cream, so he ended up with neuropathy from his cancer treatment as well. And the pain was just incredible. And he was given a medicated cream, but you can only use it so many times a day, and, all this other stuff. So then it makes you wonder what's in this stuff. You know what I mean? That I can't use it when I need it. So one of my formulations is a body balm that I formulated for pain. We're actually in the process right now with Health Canada to get it approved as a natural health product. Like, it's that amazing. That's actually the product that started it all. So he was on the highest dose of narcotic painkiller for that neuropathy, and he was getting dementia-like symptoms. And my father is a very dynamic personality, so that was not going to fly. And he started using this pain balm, and a little bit at a time went off all painkillers. So forget that, you know what I mean? It helped a little, it helped a lot.
Yeah.
So he can't live without this cream. And he was the one, that was the product where he said, we've got to do this, because he started sharing it with other people, and they were using it for everything, for mosquito bites, for coughs and colds. You know what I mean? They're like, oh my God, it works on everything. So that really blew it up. Yeah. But it was his skin, and his skin too would crack. It was awful. It was really bad. My mom as well, she had a lot of skin issues. So the entire line, although we don't market it, like if you look at the Noble website, you don't see cancer mentioned. Like, we don't market any of that stuff. It's really a luxury brand, and we just talk about that. But an insider knowledge is that everything that I created, this entire thing, all the formulations are natural, but they're healing. So every single ingredient does something for your skin. And carrier oils, for example, they're culinary grade. So they have their full nutrition profile, where so many cosmetic companies take out the best parts because they want it clear, let's say, where ours is golden. Like, we don't touch it. It is the way it comes out of the tree is how I use it. So, that was our big thing.
Yeah, because I seen when I was looking at your site a few days ago, and I was seeing there was one videos, which you have some awesome videos of showing the product. This one lady, it was kind of like a gold, like you said, a golden, and she was talking about this kind of walnut in it and everything. Yeah. And I was like, I just want to get through the video and just take some of this, use it. It was just like, oh my God, this is all. I love seeing that. So it looks so natural.
And one thing we didn't expect is that the demographic for our face oils are women over 70. So I was really like, we market to anybody over 40 because this is very rich, nourishing oil. So for aging skin or skin that needs to be really well nourished, this is the stuff. But women over 70 are reporting that they actually see diminished wrinkles. That's the walnut oil. And, not everybody can use this product because some people can't use nut oils or, walnut oil. And everybody says to me, well, get rid of it because you'll sell it to more people. And it's like, yeah, but for the people that can use walnut oil, there's nothing better for wrinkles. All those fancy chemicals they're talking about and peeling and whatever. Walnuts, man, walnuts is the most amazing thing for fine lines. They'll disappear. So I leave it in there. So for people that are really looking to get actually visible changes, this stuff will do it. Nothing beats nature. We've always used nature. It's just lately because chemical companies and lobbyists wanted to sell their chemicals somewhere. You know what I mean?
I know. It's kind of sad because it's doing more damage than any good. But, like you said, I'm going to say it. It's the money part that they're looking at. And that's what causes a lot of that.
In my business, you mentioned that I did a lot in business. My prior incarnation in business was in the environmental renewable sector. So I have a little bit of education on chemicals, and I can tell you something that, in Europe, there's 2,000 some odd chemicals that are banned. In North America, it's like in Canada, 23, 24, something like that. In the States, 6 or 8. So I want you to imagine the companies that make this stuff that are now kicked out of Europe and every country that Europe trades with, where else can they put their chemicals where people will actually buy it? And only in North America will women have an oil for this, an oil for that, a cleaner for the kitchen, a cleaner for the floor. I just use vinegar. You know what I'm saying? Most people have
works.
1,000 cleaners, 1,000 body products and whatever. And so, and only in North America will they spend that money, which means those companies have nowhere else to put their stuff but here. So that's why they have a lot of lobby power here, because they're maintaining that. And if you look at a lot of natural products, even on social media, you have a hard time advertising them because algorithms push them down because you're selling snake oil. Guess what I'm not selling? Cancer. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I kind of like that. That's a good slogan.
Yeah.
I'm not selling cancer. I'm trying to help people.
That's right. That's right.
And then you get pushed down like, really? That's so opposite.
When both my parents got sick, like if one was bad enough, but then when my mom got sick too, I got angry. It was beyond sad. I got angry. And then it was like, what? And I know some of the, because I'm a registered lobbyist. So I know some of the lobbyists, in that toxic world, and I don't like them. Like even personally, I don't like them. So it was like, you know what? You just pissed off the wrong woman, and I'm an entrepreneur. So I turned that into a mission. But like I said, you go on the website, you'll never know that. It's all about luxury and and get rid of your wrinkles. But between me, you, and your audience, no, man, there's a mission behind that. And yeah.
I love it. Go for it. That's what I'm saying. I told everybody you're amazing. See, I'm loving that. You have to make that. I feel like it's good to make that statement because you're helping so many people, Danielle. So just let me know that you really are. Now, I was going to ask you. I know you have different, natural care products, But tell us which one is like your top selling product. Is the one that we talked about with the walnut oil, or is it a different one?
It's actually our face oil. There's a rose and frankincense face oil. That's the one that I said has that niche market, women over 70. You know, but I'll tell you, for women 45 to 70 that want to avoid getting the wrinkles, that stuff's truly like exceptional. And then of course the body balm. That, like I said, we're actually getting a license from Health Canada for that because it fixes everything. It's amazing stuff. So yeah, those two are what we're most known for.
I definitely got to go out and buy both of them when we're done with the interview. I need to go order. Especially for the wrinkles, because I'm in my 50s and I'm like, hey, if I could, you know, get some use for them a little bit, I always call it or something to help me.
I invented that one for my stepmom. So she's the one who inspired that one. And she's over 70. And within a week of using it, people were asking her if she had work done. Yeah.
Really? Oh, yeah.
Yeah. And again, there's a lot of stuff in that, you know, the rose, the frankincense, and I use real essential oils. Very clarifying, brightening for your skin. It reduces blemishes. So by the time, you know, you're in your 40s and up, you're starting to see the damage, you know, of the years. And this stuff is just remarkable for that.
Wow. Because right now I use Mary Kay products for my skin.
Yeah.
And because I really have sensitive skin, so I have to be careful. Even with Mary Kay, I have to be careful in what I'm using. Yeah. But then I'm thinking, even with that, it might not be all. I know it's probably all natural. So I really want to get to what you do as far as the more natural part of it. Because like you said, when you think about it, like you just stated, a long time when we weren't even here, they were using the natural stuff that was in the earth and stuff, and it was doing pretty well.
You know, frankincense and myrrh and even rose oil for that matter are one of the first globally traded commodities that there ever was. So the first trade route international was to trade those essential oils, and it was for cosmetics, you know. So like where Cleopatra was in that trade, that was where a lot of her wealth came from. So we're coming from good stock here. You know?
Yes, I know, and we don't even realize it. Yeah,
this is the first global entrepreneur thing that ever happened on the planet. Was trading essential oils in part for their cosmetic value. So really, truly, this always has been, you know, I'm just going back to the first queen, you know what I mean?
Yeah. Taking it from there.
That's
wow.
Right. That's right.
Awesome. Now, there's a statement under your website. You said, we aim to delight your senses and to craft the cozy that you deserve. Can you share what inspired you with that statement? I thought that was so nice.
Honestly, domestic abuse.
Ooh.
When I lived 13 years in a domestic abuse situation, and it took 13 years for me to get strong enough to get out. And a lot of that was because I had that chronic health condition that truly trapped me in this space. And everybody talks about getting out. And of course, obviously, I celebrate that. But what about when you're stuck in that? And the only way that I could keep my sanity through that was intense self-care. So anywhere that I could turn any little peaceful moment, even drinking a cup of coffee, into something decadent, candles, my favorite socks, you know, whatever, I did. Mm-hmm. And that intense self-indulgence and self-love is how A, I survived in the moment, and B, was able to get to a personal place of empowerment to get out. And that applies to any crappy moment in your life. And we have them. And sometimes it's not just a bad day. Sometimes it's a bad couple of years. You know what I mean? Financial issues, personal issues, heartbreak, loss, grief. And it's that intense self-care that will kind of carry you when everything else, your emotions are falling apart. That little bit sometimes is just what you need to get you through that moment. And so, again, that's kind of like my little secret message, you know, that I want every woman in every bad moment to have at least the thing that, you know, like, for example, remember I mentioned the rose face oil?
Yes.
Wrinkles, all that stuff. But rose is very uplifting for depression. And frankincense is also powerful for PTSD. Mm-hmm. So that formulation, when I was working on it for my stepmom's wrinkles, that's the, you know, the oils in it, but the essential oils I was using for me to get me through all the trauma. So when you're using that oil and you put it on, it's like, oh, you feel soothed, but you don't know why. And again, I don't really go into a lot of that on the website, but you'll feel it. And that's what I'm trying to give women. So it's not just an oil that's going to help your skin. You're going to use it and it's going to do something for your limbic system. You're going to take a deep breath. That bath is going to truly feel like an exorcism. You know what I mean? A detox, because every oil I use is carefully selected to do something a lot more than just feel or smell good.
Oh my God. Awesome. Awesome. And see, this is what I'm talking about, how you went from one situation, you would talk a little bit about, domestic violence that you dealt with. And even with that, you created something that just, impacts everybody in their life. So truly awesome, Danielle. Wow. And see, I love how you said that. And I think this is what we all do, because I know I've done it too, and probably other women too, is that, you have to look for, different things to move you away from what, the surroundings is going on. Because if you don't, you'll just get more, plugged into it, and then you won't find a way to get out of it. I mean, you don't feel that strength, you start just going into that downward spiral. So you took it on and said, you know what, I'm not gonna, even though this is going on right now in my life, I'm still finding ways to cope.
Entrepreneurism did that for me. It was entrepreneurism that empowered me, because at home I was being told I was terrible, but at work I was shining. I was winning awards. I actually left him when Royal Bank, RBC gave me a business award, a Royal Ruby Award, which is very prestigious. And that was the thing. I remember I had gone through horrible abuse that morning on my way to be photographed for the local paper. And they were going to do a whole spread on me in the paper. And I went to get photographed with all these other business leaders. And I'm looking around and thinking, this isn't me. Like, what am I doing with this guy? Like, look who I am. Like, what am I doing? So that was my big aha moment. And I left like that day, the next day. So entrepreneurism gave me the platform and the financial. A lot of women leave in a really negative situation financially. I was empowered. I bought the house. You know what I mean? So it's like, you're going to get out. And I could afford to support myself well when I left, when not many women have that privilege. And that was entrepreneurism that did that for me.
Wow. Yeah. So now, this is a funny question I always ask all the ladies. What would you call, I'm already hearing a lot of superpowers you have, but what would you call your number one superpower that's just natural to you?
I have learned to turn the worst situations that happen to me and others into the absolute best thing. So that a year later, you're looking back and you're grateful that XYZ happened. And I'm so good at it. I'm hired as a consultant, like a disaster PR consultant and as a lobbyist to help deal with other people's disasters. And I really believe those are moments where you get to pivot, you know what I mean, potentially, or transform. And I've stopped looking at those endings as a bad thing and as a what's next. And I've had enough tragedy and then huge success come as a result of, in one way or another, that now when something bad happens, I get that this is going to lead me to something good. And that's a contagious thing. So when I'm able to give that, positivity, I can shift somebody's mindset, they're going to shine. And this is going to be a good thing, whatever that is.
Love it. Love it. Love it. Love it. I just love how you use, you just use those. I always say the things that we go through in life are stepping stones of strength.
And it's true. It's not a saying. It's true. That is true. Yeah.
Yes, definitely. Definitely. Yeah. Well, I know you said your superpowers, and that was that was a lot of wisdom, but I just wanted to ask before we close, what are some last words that you would like to leave with the audience? And then please tell them how they can contact you.
That you can really overcome anything. I've learned that it might not be what you think or how you want it to be, but if you can just remain open and positive and determined, you can do anything. And you can find me through noblebodycare.com. You can reach me directly through the website, and I'm happy to speak to anybody.
Well, I will make sure that is notated on the caption of your interview when we post it. And I just thank you so much, Daniela, for allowing me to interview you in the spotlight.
Oh, thank you.
It was a joy. It was a joy to get to know you. You're a good, wonderful impact to the world. Remember that, and please, everybody, I always push people to get to know these wonderful Queen Diamonds. They have so much experience and just so much to give, and to just help you uplift your own life within your own life. So please reach out to Daniela with her products. I know I'm going to buy some. I'm already working out which ones I want. So I'm gonna get some of those products. So I wish you continuous success in your life and in your business. Truly, truly do.
Thank you.
And to those that are listening, thank you for joining us for another special edition of the Diamond Factor Spotlight interview. You can join.
Hey everybody, good morning. It's Laura Armstrong here with Leadership with Laura. Welcome to our Thursday morning session. Today I'm going to be talking about, what does leadership mean to you? Because I really feel like this is a really big subject, and the subject in general of leadership is huge. And I really think getting an idea of what leadership looks like to you is really key. So this week, we're going to talk about what your leadership looks like to you right now. And I'm going to start asking you some questions that you want to be answering and writing down the responses. And next week, what we're going to talk about is what would leadership look like to you if you were the world champion of your business? Okay, so it's going to be a little bit of a different point of view. So I want you to be thinking about that. So today we're going to talk about, where you are now in your leadership and what does it mean to you? So leadership, like I said, is a huge subject. So for me, leadership is pretty simple. So leadership is the ability to pass on knowledge, traits, and other personality and ideas that can create more in other people's lives, whatever that looks like for them. And be willing to be out front, leading with them right beside you, willing to be introspective, willing to be enough space so people can grow within your leadership. And my ultimate goal for leadership and what it means to me is to have my leaders surpass me, because I'm not a very good leader if I keep everybody underneath me, right? So that is my goal, and that's the way I feel about leadership. But it may mean something different for, other people. So when we're talking about what does leadership mean to you, it could mean several things, right? So are you at the head of a team or many teams? Do you work with people underneath you? Are you a leader of leaders? Okay, all of these things are really important to understand. So when you're writing out what leadership means to you, you want to be thinking about, yeah, it means I have a huge team, or I have millions of people following me, or, whatever that means, right? The other thing that I want to talk about is, maybe some people aren't team-based, right? For some, leadership means they're the expert in their field. Okay, so for instance, you would have someone who shows up to speak at a conference and they're the expert in their field, but they don't have, team, or they don't have millions of followers, but they put the time in. They are a leader in their field. They're innovative. People come to them for resources and to learn from them. I remember when I was teaching Aikido, one of my martial arts, as a 3-time world champion. And my students would come to me and say, well, we want to go to this seminar and learn from another teacher. And I'm like, great, right? So the way I learned from my teacher, and this is where it came from, and so on, is you have your main teacher or your main person or your main mentor or whatever it is. And that can change too. But they wanted to go out and learn from other teachers so that they could bring it back home and incorporate it into their practice, because I didn't want clones of me walking around. I wanted them to be individual and create what, that martial art meant to them in their body and how they expressed it and how it changed them, how the physical practice would change them internally, right? So what does leadership mean to you, right? I mean, it's just such a big question. So when I would have these students who were doing this and they were like, okay, well, we're going to go to these seminars, they would come back. I never asked. And they're like, well, can we show you what we learned? And I'd be like, sure. Right. So what I was doing is creating a culture of community within my school that was diverse, and everybody was, there were traits of the way I did things through what they did, but they were creating their own thing, which is what your leadership should be. It should be unique. It should connect you to your purpose. It should connect you to your passion. Barbara talks about that all the time. It should be in line with your mission and your vision. And if you don't have those things done, we're going to talk about them in another episode. And I'm going to give you a little bit more definition around that. But today I just wanted to really get you thinking about what leadership meant to you. And I said this last time, if you are just a one-off, an entrepreneur running your own company, it's just you, guess what? You're still a leader. Okay. You can't get out of it, right? People are looking at you and they're watching you. Okay. And you may not even know. I mean, I've had texts and contacts from halfway around the world. Can I take your course? Can we have a call? Can you speak at my event? Right. And I had no idea how these people found me. Right. So people are always watching you. So make sure that when you're understanding what leadership means to you, that you're presenting yourself that way. Right. So, for example, I have one of my clients is a travel agent, and she's the go-to person for certain travel in the world. All the vendors go to her. The other agents go to her for advice. Right. So she's kind of seen as the expert in her field. And, if that's what leadership means to you, that's fine too. How do you know you're an expert in your field, right? This is a really good question. Well, because you could be paid to be a consultant in what you do, because that's how other people will see you. So keep that in mind. So if someone wanted me to come in about leadership and communication, they would pay me money to do that, because they know that I have the credentials, the experience, and the know-how and knowledge to give them what they're looking for. Okay. And that's the other thing I want you to think about when you think about what leadership means to you. What is the transformation that you are offering people through your leadership? Is it an opportunity to step into their leadership and create more leaders, or create a strong team, or collaborate, or have a community of people? Not everybody will participate and be a leader. So your leaders, I'm gonna in another segment talk to you about how to define who your leaders are in your group, right? And how to find them and source them out, right? Because not everybody wants to be a leader, but I'll tell you this, everybody involved with you wants to be invited around the campfire. Nobody wants to be left out. Okay. So it's really important that your leadership is all encompassing, and that's a hard challenge, right? Because we're always working on ourselves. So for me, leadership also means that it's constant self-growth. I'm always learning. I'll tell you, when I was competing on an international level, I learned way more from losing than I ever did from winning. I thought, okay, what do I need to change for next time to be better? How am I not going to let this beat me down? What am I going to take with me that I'm going to make my fight better the next time, or my competition better the next time? Do I have to train harder? Do I have to be a certain weight to fit into a category? Do I have to change the weapons that I'm using when I compete, right? Like all these different things come in, right? So when I'm talking about what leadership means to you, you're going to have failures along the way. And I'm proud of those failures because, man, you know, if I didn't have them, I wouldn't be constantly improving, right? So leadership is not like an easy road to like, yeah, I'm going to be the world champion of the world. Everybody has a story. So when you're thinking about what leadership means to you, what is your story? Again, what is your passion and purpose? What is the thing that gets you up in the morning? And what is your transformation that you are offering people through your leadership? Because if you're not clear on those things, you're not sure about what your leadership means. So it all ties back to the beginning of like who you are and what you're offering. Okay, and what the transformation is that you offer others. How do you define leadership? Does it mean helping others take hold of their leadership and lifting them up to create a legacy of leadership? That's a whole other level of training, right? So I have world championship titles, so do my students, and in turn they train their students who have world titles, you know, so I know what it means to create a leadership legacy. I watched it happen before my eyes. Okay, so if leadership is all about creating a leadership legacy of what you want to leave in the world, then that's something you want to pay attention to as well. And you may not know that at the beginning of your leadership. That kind of evolves over time. Okay, and then you start to put some structure around that. So you start to say, okay, this is what I want to do in 2 years. This is my phase 1, my phase 2, my phase 3. Right? Like, and you know, there's a lot more around that. I'm just giving you a high level overview. So what leadership means to you is really personal, right? And it's really defining who you are. And you know, I feel like a lot of the time we kind of jump into things and see what happens. I know I've done it. But you know what? You want to have the right kind of mentors in place to help you do it. Because you know, I can't tell you the amount of times people come to me and they take my trainings or I'm working with them and they're like, I don't know what to do. Like, I know, like I've got all these people and they just expect me to lead, right? Like there's no structure around it. I see it time and again in organizations, or leaders are put in positions they shouldn't be because they're not trained properly, or they don't have the skills to speak to people in the values that are important to them. Right. And so then they have a hard time and communication doesn't happen. That's another big part of leadership. And we're going to talk about that as well. You know, so I think it's really important for you to get really clear about what leadership means to you. So I want to hear about that from you guys. So make sure you make some comments. And yeah, we want to talk about that. So one more thing that I want you to think about, 2 more things. What does leadership mean to you? So do you have anybody who follows you, or do you have a following so far? Are you getting out there and speaking on podcasts? And, you know, all these things are going to be brought up through the weeks, right? But right now we're just doing the high level overview of what leadership means to you, right? Do you have millions who follow you anywhere because what you have is something they must have? What do you have that they must have? Really think about that. Okay. And the last thing I want to talk about before I kind of start to wrap things up is, what is the secret sauce to your success? Why are you special? I know why I'm special. I am a 3-time world champion martial artist. I know what it takes to be the best in the world, and I know how to create a leadership legacy. What do you have? Because if you're going around saying, I don't have anything, that's not a good enough excuse. Okay? You have something no one else has. And how, you know, whether it's related to your story, the drama and the trauma you've been through, the things that have sculpted you as a human being, and a leader. These are the things that you have to dig for, right? Because they're not going to show up unless you look for them and decide that you want to expand on them and create your leadership. Then you're going to start to realize what your leadership means to you. Okay, but until you do that and you just kind of want to float along, that's okay. There's no judgment about that. But if you want to step into your leadership, get ready to be uncomfortable. Because I'm going to tell you, I live in a place of uncomfortable. I am making changes right now in my life and my business, huge changes. I am so uncomfortable, it's scary. So I've gotten comfortable with being uncomfortable. And I really want you to think about that. Because if you were comfortable, what would you be doing? You'd be sitting on the couch, getting up every day, making breakfast, having your coffee, maybe looking at your computer, answering a few emails. So that would be a comfortable day. Was there anything really going to happen there? Are you wondering why nothing's going on in your business and your leadership? Right, because you're comfortable. You need to step outside of your comfort zone to create change and see what is possible in your leadership and your business. Leaders are always looking for better ways to not only increase their personal growth and their self-understanding, but showing others how to do the same thing, right? And being vulnerable. That's the other thing I want to talk about before I kind of close off. So many years ago, I was not willing to be vulnerable. I had so many issues. There was abuse issues from when I was younger. Eventually my story is going to come out over the weeks when we talk, but there were so many things that I found out about later in life that had happened to me as a young person, right? And I thought, oh my God, how am I ever going to be able to step into my power here? And it actually froze me for a couple of years, right? And then I just decided this is not going to hold me back because I don't want to live the rest of my life this way. So I started to lean on the people around me. And I don't think that we do that enough. Your collaboration, your communication, and your connection to others is what relates us as the human race to create more in the world, right? So once I started to do that, I was able to start to come out of my cocoon where I kind of was really comfortable, but nothing was happening in my life, right? So once I started to do that and I stepped into it, things started to change and shift and grow. And not just on a level where I was changing what I was doing, but it reflected in my bank account because I don't think we talk enough about that, right? As leaders, you need to be making money and making good money. Okay, and you're all leaders, so that means you all need to be making money, right? So, this is just a high-level overview, like I've said a couple times here, of, what does leadership mean to you? And I've given you some clues about that. So it's all up to you to define what that is, okay? So in closing, I would just say, remember, live in uncomfortableness because that is going to create the change in your life you're looking for. Make sure that you know what your transformation is that you're offering to people, and make sure that it relates to your purpose and your passion, your mission, and your vision. Because if it doesn't, sure, you can go out and make money, but it's not really going to mean that much, and it's not going to last very long, okay? Because there's nothing to feed it. There's no drive to feed it. Okay, so be thinking about that when you're thinking about what leadership means to you. Next week, we're going to be covering kind of on the same kind of subject here. We're going to be covering where do you want to be in your leadership, right? And I'm going to talk about where you are now and where you want to be in your leadership, right? So if you were the world champion of your business, what would that look like? I'm going to give you all sorts of options and information to get you thinking outside of your box, into uncomfortable and into greatness, because I think a lot of us have a great idea of where we kind of want to be, okay, but not really have it defined. Well, maybe someday woulda, shoulda, coulda, maybe. Well, that's not really anything, right? So let's start to put some definition around that so that you can create the path to that, look at what's getting in your way, implement the tools, shift your mindset, and start to turn it all to gold for you. All right, that's it for today. My name is Laura Armstrong. You can reach me at leadershipwithlaura.com or email me at laura@leadership.com, and I look forward to seeing you all next week. Take care, everyone. Bye for now.
Miss Laura, I had to make sure I didn't have my mute button on. Trying to get better at that. So Miss Queen Laura, every week I just love seeing her giving the I feel like the gems of leadership. And, while I was listening to her, I was pulled up a quote regarding leadership that really, 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 really resonates with me. Every time I'm, either leading this show or, at my job, I have certain projects I lead, or just in general, in personal, because you're a leader in different areas. It doesn't always have to be business. See, some people be like leadership, business, leadership, corporate. I mean, it's not always corporate. It's not always corporate. So I this quote, just to kind of resonate with you. True leadership is servanthood. Put the interests of others at the center of your decisions. This, like I said, I live by this when it comes to leadership, because a lot of times when we get the title leader, sometimes all of a sudden it's like, I'm the leader and I can tell you what to do. And then all of a sudden it's like you feel like you're here and everybody's like down here automatically. And sometimes you don't even mean to feel that way, but it just comes because leader is on your title all of a sudden. CEO, manager. Awesome that you got there. Awesome that you're elevating. I tell everybody you want to elevate to the next level, but don't forget the main thing that you should be doing. You should still do servanthood to the people that are working with you. It's a team. You need to come together and work together. Not so much of I'm looking down and telling you what to do every day. Now, yes, you help by putting together guidelines and rules and everything like that to make things flow. I get that. But I just want to make sure that it's about the other interests and centering the decisions on the people that you're working with. So important. I always tell people, if I'm mentoring you or I'm a leader, and if you move up higher than I do, I mean, eventually if we're working together, that puts a big smile on my face. Because hopefully that tells me that I did my job to get you to where you're trying to get to and even higher. I know a mentor of mine 7 years ago, when I just was getting started speaking, and I was very shy, and people look at me and say, yeah, I was. I have people that can tell you this. I have proof and examples, but I was a very shy individual, even in the corporate world. And I joined an organization at that time called Toastmasters International, still a part of the organization. In fact, I have a professional group that comes, shameless plug here, first and third Sundays, that we get together and basically practice our presentations of what we do. But going back to the beginning, when I had that certain individual become my mentor, I looked at her as my leader. She always would tell me, Barbara, no matter what we do together, how I explain things to you, I want you to know that your interest is my interest. I want to make sure that wherever you're trying to go, that I'm there trying to help you. If I could take the tools and the gifts that I have and help you with them, that's what I want to do. And that was so awesome, because it wasn't so much of now, she's looking at me like, I can tell you do this. Now she did, give me things to do because I had to get to the next level. But she always had my interest at heart when she told me that. And that's what leadership should be doing. And I see good and bad and ugly when it comes to leadership. So I'm loving that that Laura's bringing in, the guide, tips and everything of understanding how to be that leader in life. We need more leaders that look at people's interests more instead of dictators. That's one thing that I don't like, is a dictator of leadership, because that doesn't get you nowhere. And to me, that is a selfish attitude to have, because you're not really thinking about others. You're basically just thinking of how you can dictate to everybody else. So with that, when you're doing leadership, always remember that it's not just about you. And I always do this little comment: there's no I in team. And guess what? There really is no I in team if you spell it. So with that, we see tomorrow we have, wow, it's just like I'm telling you, this week is just going by quick. So tomorrow we're starting our Military Appreciation Month. I know it's supposed to be all in May, but I'm doing it towards the end and a little bit in June. So you're going to see some awesome, awesome veterans come on and talk about their stories, talk about where they're at right now, talk about why they joined either the Air Force, Navy, Marines, and the Army. I got always have to think of the four because I'm bringing all of them in different areas where they served. And I just wanted to give them so much reverence to them, to know that, first of all, the Diamond Factor show appreciates them so much for serving for us. And then also get to know who these wonderful, courageous people are. And still, even though they're veterans, they're still, doing their thing. Some people are in business, they have their own business. Some people, are working in different capacities. So I want to start bringing in some of those veterans. And it starts tomorrow. I have one lady that's coming tomorrow, and then also another special guest. So we'll have some fun tomorrow. Come in, like I said, 8 o'clock every morning Central Time, 9 o'clock Eastern Time. Call your friends, family, tell them to come to the Diamond Factor Experience Show. We just love to have you. Like I said, this show is basically to motivate, to inform, to bring awareness, and just make sure that we're sharing with each other the PPD that people have, their purpose, passion, and drive in life, which I always say, wrapped up in a little bow, called the Diamond Factor in your life. With that, I will see you tomorrow morning, 8 o'clock. 8 o'clock. Be right here. Talk to you soon. Bye.